Good morning. There we go. All right. Another coding stream, another great Sunday morning. What are we doing today? I was thinking for today to avoid doing the thing that kind of struggling with last time, which was trying to figure out why mock service worker at TRPC was not playing nicely for our tests, and instead do something not related to tests. Specifically, these two things that I've bumped up here in the list. One, I think there were still some issues to do with having a dark mode or a dark theme for the UI. So I think there were maybe some outstanding color issues for the dark theme. I'll double check that. And then the ability to auto detect if your browser requests the dark mode. And then maybe add a theme toggle in the settings. Maybe your browser doesn't support that, or you're not using that, or you want to, override the setting specifically within the app. So doing that, and then I'm assuming that's not going to take this whole 3 hours. I really hope not. So then we'll go over and do some DevOpsy things. I think it's about time to figure out how we're going to deploy the app. And I have something of a solution in mind, but specifics of actually doing it will be what we'll figure out on stream. Some things I'm not going to do specifically around setting up the hosting and kind of the billing and credential details. I'm not going to do on stream because I feel like that can go really wrong. But we'll try to figure out some stuff with how Next.js is supposed to be deployed, what the options are there, which I looked at this briefly, but need to look at a little bit more. Maybe try to get something running locally with Docker Compose. Even spin up a container with Postgres in it, because ultimately I do want to use Postgres as the database for this app. Currently we're using SQLite, but that has some limitations that we're already running up against in terms of being able to do search with it. And then with the database instead of a Docker container, you need volume, so we'll figure out how that is set up again. It's been a while. And then the other thing that I would like to do on stream is do some stuff with GitHub Actions to build our Docker containers. So we'll see how much of that we can get into today's stream. But for now, let me drag the card over, I guess. Okay, so let's dive into Storybook. We have a theme page. And I think these colors are basically the same for primary, secondary, and error. Info is a little different. Oh yeah, the colors do diverge a little bit. Text ends up being a white or a lighter color, and then background is darker. Is there an issue with the colors here? It doesn't look like there are. Maybe. Maybe the thing I'm thinking of is how it looks inside of Storybook in dark mode. That seems fine. Sort of. Let's see. Okay. That doesn't look too bad. Maybe there's nothing to do there. Maybe I misremembered. Okay, so anyway, let's assume this is fine for now. Detect user preferences via browser. I feel like Material UI has a thing for this already. Let's go check docs. So there's a section in the docs about dark mode. And I think we're doing this, right? So in our themes folder, we have a dark theme. Yeah, so we're using this mode dark to provide that, like they are here. Basically taking our light theme as a baseline and then telling it to convert it into dark mode. Adding CSS baseline inside of the theme. Are we doing that now? Pages. Well, it doesn't look like it. Oh, we are in Storybook, but we're not here. So in the Storybook preview inside of Theme Provider, we're doing that. But, I'm also going to toggle screencast mode for the hotkeys. If folks find that distracting, let me know. Do I want to import from... Ooh, what's that? Fix using Copilot. That's new. Alright, so what does that do? Get any new... Okay, that's fine. Standard error. Okay. Alright. So what does CSS baseline do, actually? Now that we've added it. Enable dark mode for the app's background. So it only works if you're using the default palette. If you have a custom palette, make sure you have the correct values based on the mode. I see. Color mode, set mode. Oh, interesting. System preferences. Here we go. So here we're using use media query from material UI, and then okay, I'm just gonna take that. So this is not going to work, right? Because what we're doing here, okay, so what we'll do, because in our code base we've already created the themes and exporting them. We're exporting them from themes, so we don't need to create theme here. What we can do is we can say something like that. Do we need to use memo here? I don't think so. Specifically because we've already constructed both the themes outside of the context of this function. So I think we can just do this. And come back to daily Joule. Notice how most everything is invisible. That suggests we are using the theme. But our background is not. Where's that background coming from? Body, background color white, huh? Okay. Do we have something somewhere that's setting the background color like that? I would think the dark theme. Palette background default. Palette background default. So where is this background color coming from? Right there, apparently. Lato fallback. I know we added that font. I wonder if that can help us figure out where this is coming from. Oh, I have a thought. Let's try restarting the dev server. Yep, I know, because I stopped it. Oh, well that's... At least we're detecting that the user preference is for a dark mode, right? Because like the nav is changing and stuff, but I'm not seeing where that white background is coming from. Yeah. like if we look in Storybook at dark theme background, it knows that it should be this. Is there something else interfering with this? Okay, dark theme, export default, create theme, dark theme options. I mean, and this is what we are pulling in the Storybook story to show those values. Is there somewhere else where we are providing those styles, or providing any styles that might Wait. Is this a... Huh. So what I'm thinking about now is, so this is an Next.js app, although more and more I'm finding that I wish maybe it wasn't. So obviously on the server side, this is going to be false. Well, I say obviously, but I suspect that it's the case, right? It's always going to be false, right? Because we don't have any way of knowing what the user's browser wants when we're server side, and so we're going to render this out and send it to the client, and the client is going to have a different story, right? Prefers dark mode true. Just like we're getting these warnings. Prop class name did not match. Server versus client. I mean, I don't think it should matter, right? The front end knows, see, what it wants, and it has a theme object, and then should pass it in. And so whatever gets sent from like the pre-rendered page from the back end, when that gets hydrated, however that works, we have the theme here that we want for the browser. And we should have a palette. And we should have a background. Yeah, that. There's also a common. I wonder... So what is this? What is the actual component? I mean, it's just the body, right? The body has a background of white. Why? Wait. Do I still have some CSS just hanging around globals? That'd be funny if I had a... it was just in here somewhere and was getting turned into... Okay, now. Huh. Well, where's the white coming from then? Get rid of this. See, here's our theme color on body, but it's being overridden. Okay. Right. So the issue... Yes, this makes sense. This makes sense. And I wonder, actually... Okay. That'd be funny if adding that actually caused this issue, but no, okay. So, whatever theme that is... This is going to be false on the server. Next.js is producing a bunch of CSS based on things. And then apparently that can't be overridden in the front end, in the browser, that is. Oh, wait. Wait. Was it just working? Oh. Got my hopes up there for a second. So yeah, so just to see what this is supposed to look like right now, if we do that, okay, it'd be interesting if this doesn't work. Right, because kind of my assumption was the issue was that something was happening different between what was being like pre-computed on the server side and okay, let's just make really sure we know what's going on here. Restart the server. Still white backgrounds. That's interesting. Maybe... Sure. Maybe we should actually look at what's going on with this error that we've had for quite some time around React hydration error. Yeah. While rendering your application, there was a difference between the React tree that was pre-rendered and the React tree that was rendered during the first render in the browser. I was relying on something that could be that could differ between pre-rendering and the browser. Example of this is using window and a component's rendering, like here. So for starters, I'm not even using browser sync anymore, so I'm gonna remove this stuff just to eliminate a possible source of that specific error. Well, I was hoping. Okay, so that wasn't it. It's interesting. What's going on here? I'm going to put CSS baseline back since that didn't seem to address our issue. Oh. And now it works? Why? But if I refresh... Okay, so we... Oh, right. We needed CSS baseline for the background to work at all. But this doesn't solve the issue. So if we... say prefers dark mode, then Dark theme. Okay, I gotta turn off screencast mode. That's someone can let me know if you really like that. If that's helpful for you, maybe we could figure out where to, like, maybe there's some way to put it somewhere else on the screen, but I find it really distracting. Okay, so yeah, and then it doesn't work anymore. Right, so they're saying that you want to wrap, you want to use the use effect hook to be able to essentially read from kind of browser state, things that are available in browser that wouldn't be available for server-side rendering at the time when the component is mounted. Invalid HTML may cause hydration mismatch, such as div inside of P. Sure. When using styled components in Emotion, when CSS and JS libraries are not set up for pre-rendering, ooh. Okay, so maybe we missed something in the setup here. So where is it saying? Your Next.js config under compiler options. Styled components. Interesting. Yeah, didn't have that. Where does that go? Compiler? Okay. So is this going to make our error go away? Wow. Well, that was easy. I just needed to read the documentation. Amazing. I also made our hydration error go away, which is maybe why. I mean, it's fine. We got there eventually, right? But that error had been there for quite some time, and I've just been ignoring it. Okay. All right, so this is what we ended up with. And, I mean, I could put... I might, at some point, want to use Thingamajig again. Whatever the thing was that I removed. Browser sync. Yeah, I might want to use that again. So let's do this. We'll do dark. Redo this change. And then we'll do what was suggested for arguments to the variable from inside me. Yeah, we have to use state, yeah. Right, to actually make this work, we need to do host name, set host name, use state localhost. Yep. We ended up not using use memo, so I'll just put use state there instead. And then I'll say set host name is this. And then, yeah, so that should basically re-add what we had before with browser sync. Interesting. Loading failed for script. Okay, let's refresh. Oh, right, and we have to re-add. The other thing that's missing, CSS baseline. Bam. And did this fix? Nope. I don't think this if check is necessary anymore. Right, because the use effect function should only happen client side anyway. Interesting. Okay. I'm not so attached. I think I said this before, but I haven't really been using Browser Sync other than when I first set it up thinking I might want to use it. So I think I'm just going to remove all this for now rather than spend time on it. I can always look back at the history in Git and add it back if I change my mind. Okay, so let's get a branch going as well. I've been working on this a little bit. Let's see. Fix up remaining issues with dark theme is the issue that we're working. Okay. So we have a dark theme. Presumably, if we were to... First of all, let's go to the landing page. Does this... it's a little off. Okay, I guess I should fix that, huh? So do we see that in our... yeah. Okay, so let's address that. So why is it this way? So we have this card component. Is it an atom? I think it's an atom. All right. Yes. So what does this look like in light mode? Okay. Background paper. Can we... Yeah, thanks, Copilot. So what does this look like? It'll look a little different. Yeah, it looks a little different. But then in dark mode, you lose the shading effect here. Background primary hover. So I think what we want to do is we want to do something where we do theme.mode. Hold on. Word wrap. Was this the original value? No. Okay. So let's do that. Mode doesn't exist. Well, thanks, Copilot. Is it palette mode? Yes. Okay. There we go. That gets the effect that we originally had. And is actually legible this way. I guess, let's see, and then card border primary hover. I guess we can do the same thing here for the hover effect. I'm going to just kind of invert it. But it's going to be 0.3. Yeah, there we go. Now, we basically don't actually use these cards. This is like one of the first things I did on the app was like a landing page. And I came across a video that had this kind of effect. And I thought, oh, we could use this as kind of for the landing page like this. And this is the only place where this is used right now. This is before I decided I was going to start using Material UI. So this may not stay around. But that's okay. All right, so right. So the other thing I wanted to do is I wanted to see what this looked like in light mode. So if I open a, oh, I guess private browsing doesn't change the theme. Okay, so I think we've basically done these first two now, though. So let's add the ability to override the theme somewhere. I guess maybe in... Oh. Settings is busted, too. Hey, Zuri. So if you do coding in Minecraft, you made any mods for Minecraft yet? You know, it's crossed my mind. Maybe... At some point, we'll be kind of done with this thing and this daily Joule app in terms of it, you know, mostly working. So maybe at some point that might be an idea for. I don't really. I mean, I have some ideas for like some mod pack kind of like ideas loosely, but I don't know if I have anything like ready to go yet. But maybe we could look at. Like open issues on a mod, do some like bug fixes or something. I don't know. I have not made any mods yet, though. To answer your question, all right. So why have we failed to use the theme? Okay, so another component that needs to be fixed then is somewhere in here. Settings. What do you need in Minecraft, like pipes with filters that are cheaper? A new storage mod? I don't know. I feel like these days there's so many good mods out there that yeah, I don't know. Yeah, most of my ideas for packs involve like combining like create plus mine colonies, doing things like that. I feel if you do bug fixes in packs, you'll get hired. See, we're already using the theme for some places here, but clearly not every... Oh yeah, here you go. Background background color white. That's not right. Yeah, so this should be like that. And then we'll do theme.palette. I don't know about... Wait, what have I done wrong here? Oh, right. So this... oh, right. Sorry, I'm in the wrong mindset. Immersive needs some updates. Oh, immersive engineering. multi-block structures mods. Yeah, yeah. The idea I had for like combining create with mine colonies was where you could make like factories that would have staff, and like you would use the mine colonies colonists to as a part of what is essentially like a multi-block like factory structure. It was part of this like bigger idea of having a mod pack set around having these different like iterative, like you would, it would be a tech progression mod. You would start with like really basic stuff, and then the idea would be all your stuff would get destroyed. Yeah, like yeah, sort of like that, like Thumbcraft columns. But you would all your there would be a cataclysm, right? And then what you would carry between kind of these iterations, these calamities, would be like designs, blueprints, and learning, and you would progress that way. And so it wouldn't be about building up like bigger and bigger stuff in one like big progression, but a series of like incrementally designing things, and then designing better and faster ways to gather resources. And then you clean slate and you do it all over again. And that would, you would progress to eventually being like operating off of a space station or something. I don't know. Right? So it's a loose idea, but besides, the only mod pack I've ever made is just like kind of just a kitchen sink thing with a couple different things with no quests, no progression, none of that stuff. No custom like Cube.js stuff or anything like that. So it would be, automation, but with disasters. Kind of part of the inspiration for that was coming from some of my frustration with Vault Hunters. Yeah. So I like Vault Hunters in a way, but it feels like Inside Out to me to like have this thing where you're, it's a kind of a hardcore experience where you go in and you lose all your stuff. And then you spend all that time to unlock mods. But the mods are just there to aid in your progression through vaults. And I was thinking about doing something where it's the other way around. Yeah, it can't do Cube.js coding. Yeah, I don't know. I've never really tried. Maybe that could be a future coding stream. Oh, well, that fixed that. That looks slick. Spacing here, like the spacing between things, could probably use some love. Doesn't look quite right. How things are aligned and kind of so close to each other. But that's not what I'm trying to solve right now. The nav here is not quite right either. Yeah. No, not disabled. Primary. There we go. Okay, so why did I come? Oh, right. So I came to this page, right? Because I wanted to have a way to override the theme, right? So maybe by default you have your browser set, or maybe your browser set to use your system theme or whatever, depending on your OS and your browser and stuff. But maybe you want to override that just for the app. So where does that live, right? Maybe it lives on the settings page. You could put like I could put something in the nav bar. Like they have an example here, right? In MUI, where there's just a little icon to toggle it. Maybe we could just steal that. Like so. And is it site navigation? So we could put that in there. how is this going to interact with our app? Right, so currently the app is where we're like figuring out whether the user prefers dark mode or not. And then site navigation is used inside of layout. Wouldn't it have to scan the browser? Well, so currently, like what I've done so far is that we use this use media query, and this allows this part of the like this component to be able to query the browser for whatever browser setting is there that would indicate the user's preference for color scheme. And so this gives us like a Boolean value, at least when this renders in the browser. This gives us true or false, whether it should be dark theme or light. But then the issue is that let's see, what can we do here? So we have a store. If I move the Redux provider up outside of the theme provider, can you set it to auto, darken, or light? What do you mean by auto? Like it'll automatically do that based on what your browser set to? Or it's like, I'm using Firefox here. Firefox I have set up so that it just mirrors like my Windows like preference of like dark or light mode. So because Windows on this PC that I'm using is set to like dark mode, Firefox is as well, and so Daily Jewel will automatically do that as well because of this media query. So if that's set up, what are you trying to do with the toggle? Right. So what I thought would be a good idea, and maybe it's not, maybe I'm just wrong. But what I thought would be a good idea would be that maybe you're here and you want to specifically for this web app override that setting, right? So like I actually might want light mode instead of dark, so you'd be able to toggle that. I don't know. It's a thought. Maybe it's not a good idea. I don't know. But we can try something here. So what we can do, yeah, for basically just for the app, not even just not for the page because that'd be kind of weird, but basically for like you navigate around in Daily Jewel and you'd be able to set this so that, oh, I want light mode, even though my browser's set for dark mode, or vice versa, right? So to do that, we need this toggle. And I think maybe the easiest way to do this is we already have the store, and we can just read out of the store. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a setting called override theme, which is going to be null or light or dark. Google has a toggle. Have you seen the code behind that? Nope. I think this will actually be really straightforward to do. Let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to have an override theme setting in my Redux slice. for settings, for lack of a, like I could make a separate slice dedicated for this, but it's not worth the hassle. And then I'm gonna add a reducer. It's gonna be like override theme. Yep. And then I just need to expose that action. Like so. And then what I can do here is I can get the state, get the settings, override theme, and then I can say switch. And it's going to complain because prefers dark mode is a const. Well, we can fix that. Let's do something different, actually. What's the problem here? Oh yeah, it's a hook. Okay, so yeah, now this is a hook too. Let's say const override theme equals that. I'm gonna do something slightly different here. So we're gonna have this return like light or dark. No, good guess, Copilot. Not quite right. If we have override theme, then we'll return it. Otherwise, if we prefer dark mode, we'll return dark, and otherwise we'll return light. So this is a function that's either going to return light or dark. And then here, const theme mode equals use theme preference. It is autofilling. Yeah, I'm using GitHub Copilot. I'm paying GitHub money for this feature called Copilot. So it uses whatever that is they're using. It's this thing. It uses the OpenAI codex to suggest code and entire functions in real time right from your editor. It's like Grammarly for coding. I've not used Grammarly, so I'll take your word for it. Actually, do I? Yeah, I'll do this. Theme mode equals dark theme, otherwise light theme. I was thinking about actually having this function return the actual theme. Maybe that would be better, but this is fine. This works, right? So if we have an overridden theme setting in the store, we will use that. Otherwise, we'll use the media query and whatever it's set to prefer. That's going to allow us to then, in site navigation, to do a thing. So let's see. Let's look at layout. There's a layout component. Okay. This is where we're using site navigation. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So how's this going to work? All right. Right. And then this has sub pieces as well. Mobile and desktop navigation. Okay, so we have to modify both of these to add our toggle. So we have log out or log in. we can have just on the right hand side of that. List item. Oh, I lost the thing that I originally copied from MUI. Okay. Yeah, we can use theme here. Import that from there. And that'll allow us to determine whether we're in dark mode or not. Does that make sense? Yeah, I think regardless of what the overridden setting is, we always want to show the icons based on what the actual like theme mode is. And so I think that makes sense. And then the on click here, we're gonna like override theme. Not that function though. Let's see, I guess that would be like handle. Override theme would be a good name for that. We also need to import these icons. Fix using Copilot. What does this do? I've not used this feature before. What are you suggesting here? What have you done? Okay. Oh look, it has the imports. But I suppose if I accept this, it's going to do something crazy. Yeah. Okay, no. All right, let's just I think if I come up here, import, what is the icon called? Brightness. Yeah. See, this is also Copilot doing this. Just like auto-completing if I give it a little hint. All right, and so then we're going to, I don't know, we'll see if this unclick needs to be, okay, well, regardless, what we need to do here is pass, we're gonna call this on. Why are some handle and some on login? Should be consistent. Okay. Regardless. So we have this. We need to do the same thing for the desktop navigation. Except slightly different. Slightly different components being used for Material UI for this view. So we have a toolbar. Home link, pages. Huh. Okay. I guess we just have an icon button in this case and not a list item. Okay. And then some very similar things we have to do over here as well. In terms of grabbing the theme. then also need the icon, so I'll just copy those. And need to provide this callback. Yep, good. All right, so if I go back over here, we have a little icon. It doesn't do anything, but we have it. Now we need to fix site navigation, right? Because now it's expecting that that handler. So let's say handle. Yeah. Oh yeah. So this is why the parameter names were inconsistent, right? Because what I like to do for the actual functions in the component where we're handling the thing, I call those functions handle. And then in the props, I'll usually call them on bleh, right? So I think that was a little bit of bleed over, right? Because I just, I have this called handle close nav, but I'm using spread to pass in these props. So that's a little laziness bleeding over the nomenclature between those two kinds of things. All right, so we will, yeah. Copilot's got it. All right, so no more errors, no more red. And you can see this is light, and this should be light because we are currently in a dark theme. So we need to implement this handle override theme. And this should be really easy because we're just going to dispatch. We're going to say const dispatch equals use dispatch from React Redux. And the handler is just going to dispatch dispatch our action, whatever we called it. It's like override theme or something, right? And there's supposed to be a payload. And yeah, how's that supposed to work? Current mode is either light or dark. What we'll do is we'll make the component that is calling this callback tell us what the current mode is. We could instead, just use const theme equals use theme from MUI and then get it from there. But we're already looking at that information in the child components that is going to handle calling this callback. So why not just have them call it? And then that will be the payload for the action. And we'll have to do some stuff to make that actually work. Maybe. Right? Because right now, the way this is set up, I think we just take whatever this value is and put it as the override. But this will be the current mode once we fix, the components to light or dark. And I could probably make a type for this and do all sorts of stuff, but whatever, it's fine. All right, and then theme dot palette dot mode will be the on click there, and we'll just do the same thing over here. Yeah, good. All right, so this, because it's going to take the current mode, light or dark, and then I believe in our action that we're dispatching, we have 12 on that. Okay, there we go. Settings. In our reducer, we just take the payload and set it to the override theme. So when we click this, it is going to override the theme, but it's going to override it to be dark mode. So it does nothing, right? So to actually get the behavior we want, we need to do something. We need to say if action payload is light, then override it to dark. Otherwise, other way around. Now, a thing this doesn't handle is it would be neat if we could like clear out the override. I don't know how that would work though. So if I click this, well, I was hoping. State that override theme. Called override theme, right? I was really hoping that would just work. Oh, wait. Oh, interesting. That's not gonna work. Oh, that's unfortunate. Let's do this. So I think the piece that we're missing here is that the Redux provider needs to be outside. And then something. Okay, yeah, I know what. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make another function called something. What are we gonna call this? Basically, I want to take all of this stuff and move it. We'll call it Redux app. Yeah. Why are we doing this? So that we can query the store. Now, this is where I'm going to find out that, Next.js isn't going to like this or something. I don't know. We'll find out how much it dislikes this. Yeah, so Redux app, and then component equals component. And page props. Yep. We'll just pass through those things that we need. And we can move this hook to be used inside of here. Is this effectively the same type? Yeah. Except we don't really need these things, so we'll remove those. Property router is missing. There. That makes the types happy, even if we don't really care about those extra things. And then at this point, what we can do is, okay, so use theme preference. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to Yeah, it's fine. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to say const override theme equals use selector. Right. So now we're asking Redux for this information. And we're going to also in our slice provide a selector for this value. Select override theme. There we go. And then this function, which doesn't exist as far as this is concerned, we're gonna import it. All right, all right. We could probably do better with the types here, right? Because we know that state.settings is going to be of the type of our setting state. But that's fine. Okay, so, aha! Now it works. We can override the theme. Now this doesn't persist like if you close the app and come back, it will reset, which is why I'm not too bothered about like, oh, well, we need a way to like completely like remove the override. So like right now it's light mode. If I close this and open a new tab, it goes back to being dark mode because that's the default, because that's what my browser is telling the page. But you can override it. Just like that. All right. What's still red? Oh, I must have hit a key there. Okay, it's fine. It's all good. Okay, so changed a bunch of stuff to make this happen. So we figured out that we needed this styled component setting. Had needed it for like months, apparently. In the next config.js to make that error to go away and for it to handle like compiling our CSS in the right way. So that because we were getting that React hydration error when we didn't have this, since we're using Material UI and that's using emotion and styled components. We fixed some various places where we were not using our theme in components, so in card and in settings, a couple places. We added the ability to override the theme in our navigation. And then also stripped out some things we didn't really need around browser sync, and kind of extracted the core of our kind of orchestration of the app itself. So like the layout, head, component stuff, theme, to be in a separate component so that we could we could read state out of Redux to be able to figure out what the theme should be. So it was overridable from Redux state. So that is that issue. Get a PR going. All right. Now we'll see if this gives us any issues with chromatic. I still have not addressed the thing we were struggling with last stream with issues with chromatic, and some of our tests trying to rely on TRPC and mock service worker for testing, and that not working right now. So that's still as broken as it was last week, as far as I know. But we'll just carry on. At some point, we'll work on that again. I just was not feeling in a mood when I was thinking about this, like what we're gonna do today. I was thinking about that yesterday. I was like, I don't know. I don't have a any brilliant ideas, and I figured we'd change it up a bit. So I'm gonna be taking a break here for just a few minutes, refill my water and stretch my legs and all that stuff. And I think next up, assuming this all merges well, next up is this other issue that I talked about briefly at the beginning of the stream, which is figuring out how we're going to deploy Daily Joule. So looking a little bit at Next.js docs, maybe definitely setting up Docker Compose and setting up a Docker Compose file, figuring out how to set up a Docker file that contains our Next.js app, and trying to get Postgres set up, I guess. See how that goes, and then if there's still time, starting to look at GitHub Actions to automate all of those things. So that'll be after the break, and that break starts right now. BRB in just a few. All right, back to it. There we go. Okay, so I looked at this documentation very briefly. This is nice, right? Congratulations, you're here because you're ready to deploy your Next.js application. Next build generates things. I think kind of a first step. Yeah, I could just read through all the docs, but who does that? Well, usually I do, but let's get on a different branch over here. And I'm gonna need a different terminal for this. Is this working? Okay. Maybe not. Didn't I? Fingers crossed. Okay. Cool. Right. Okay. Maybe it's still starting? Yeah, it is. Okay. When I figured out that I was going to go down this path, which was just yesterday, I got Docker for Windows, which I don't normally use because in other situations I might have to pay for it. But for this, for my own personal use, I don't fall under that requirement. So oh, here we go. Docker Desktop is free for small businesses, personal use, education, non-commercial, yada yada yada. Okay. Also required for I'm not that, so good. Streamer? Yeah. Okay. So does the command line work now? Yes, great. Damn Docker Compose. Yes, great. Okay. Now I get to do this thing that I have not done in a very long time. Let's see. I think I'll just make a top-level Docker Compose file. Oh, right. So I'm skipping ahead because the first thing we should do probably is figure out what does it look like when next build runs, right? Because that will play a part in how we design. And there, I could probably find like a Dockerfile example and stuff to do this, but it'll be kind of fun just to figure it out live. Might be entertaining. Okay, so we should have. So there's the next build. Does that do a production build? Next build generates optimized version. And it's generated inside the .next folder. Clone with Docker example. I mean, we could look at that, but let's try to figure it out a little bit before we do that. So npm run build runs next build. Okay. Great. What do you mean operation not permitted? Okay. It's thinking. Maybe we can take a peek at what's going on under the hood here. So we got a .next folder. We got a trace and a cache. Okay. Interesting. While we're waiting, we can also look at some more docs. Okay. So we get a fun. It's thinking more. So this. Okay, so it outputs a .next static chunks pages. Each JavaScript file inside this folder relates to the routes with the same name. Statically imported things. Yada yada yada. Okay, well let's see what they have in this with Docker example here. We got a Docker file. So they're using Alpine, Node 18 Alpine. From base as deps. From this as base. From base as deps. Huh. Check this to understand why libc 6 compat might be needed. Okay. Workdir app. We copy things. Does some. Basically does npm install. Oh, I see. So as that. Okay, right. Okay. And then from base as builder, rebuild the source code only when needed. So we copy node modules, copy dot, collects completely anonymous telemetry data about general usage. Uncomment this to remove that. Might do that. If using npm, come out above and use this instead. Sure. From base as runner, production image, copy all the files and run next. So there should be a server.js. Where's that coming from? Is that in this with Docker? Or is that part of the build process? Maybe I should just keep reading. Copy from app public to public. Copy from standalone to dot. So probably coming from .next standalone. And then .next static goes to .next static in the runner image. Okay. I really wish it would not open the symbols panel when I click things. I wonder if there's a way to turn that off. Anyway, user next.js, expose 3000, env port 3000. Okay, so this looks fine. We might just copy this to use. As a start for our Docker file. I see, yeah, copy from builder. So how long it's been since I've written a Docker file? I don't know that this syntax existed or was not in common use. All right, it sure is taking a minute to make a build. What's up with that? Okay. All right. So, and then while we're waiting for all this, we can probably kind of think about what the what is this? Oh, JSON schema. Neat. Okay. Next.js container. Service for front end. For the project, front end, and Postgres database. Is Copilot going to help us out? Nope. Refresh my memory. Is version 3 the current version? Legacy versions, I guess not. Okay. So you won't have to specify the version number at the beginning of it? Just services? Okay. Interesting. We're not using Django, so nice guess, but not right. What do we call this image? Don't know. Daily Joule. Interesting. Sure. DB. Perfect. Is there like a volumes thing? Services network volumes. Services volumes. Driver external. Set to true. Volume already exists. Platforms, life cycles managed outside the application. Yeah, like that should be external, right? Maybe not. For right now, anyway, for like running locally, we'll just leave it like that. For an actual thing that we would deploy, we would have the data volume for the database, and it would be set to external true, right? And it would be like linked to a thing, like somewhere on the file system, so that the data would be persistent. Yeah, that might be right. Not impossible. Maybe. Is it 8,000 or is it 3,000? $3,000. Yep, still thinking. Let's see. There shouldn't be anything actually secret. Hold on. Yeah, I wouldn't want to show that on stream. There's like a Discord secret in it, so I wouldn't. Let's not open that .env file. But what I wanted to make sure was that the database URL is the right environment variable to pass in, so that's good. Then we'll have other things eventually. Is this still going? All right, cool. It's not bode well for actually getting the Docker image going, but we'll do that. Okay, Postgres latest. Sure, that's fine. That matches those things. Do we need to do something to like link? This doesn't need a volume, but it needs a network. So what does external do in this context? External on the network is specify the network's life cycle is maintained. Should not attempt to create it. Okay, so we're not going to do that quite yet. Okay, for now, like for local dev, we'll just have this like this. How do we... Let's go back to services. This depends on. Sure, we could say that. Links, is that what I'm looking for? defines network link to containers in another service. I specify both the service name and a link alias, or just the service name, right? Containers for the link service must be reachable at a hostname identical to the alias, where the service name of no alias was specified. Links are not required to enable services to communicate when no specific network configuration is set. Any service must be able to reach any other service at the service's name on the default network. Services do declare networks that are attached to a link should not override the network configuration. Services not attached to shared network should not be able to communicate. So technically we don't need links here. All right. Okay. And I'm gonna make a Docker file. Do you want to install the recommended Docker extension from Microsoft for Docker language? Okay. Sure. And let's go back and steal from that. Okay, so what version of Node am I on, actually? 18, okay. Time as well, yes. Okay, so this might work. Are we still... We're still creating an optimized production build. I'm glad I didn't wait for that to start trying to figure out how I was going to actually do this. I'm sure we would have eventually reached something kind of like this. But this is nice. This looks like everything, this looks properly done. So thanks, Versal, Next.js team. All right. Yeah, so server stuff in there, static in there. Presumably at some point there will be a standalone folder that'll be produced by this build process. Not that it matters. Honestly, I'm tempted to just stop this so that we can build the Docker file. Right. Yep, I'm giving up. Okay, so Docker build -t, whatever we called the image, dot. I guess there's, instead of giving an image, there are other options, right? Services, build specifies build configuration for creating container image from source. All right, so instead of using image, we could just like build dot command is interesting, but that's fine. So instead of having to run that, we should just be able to well, this is not going to work for a few reasons. We don't have anything set up to like set up a Postgres database, but we can We can try. Ooh, fancy. It's been a number of years, actually, I think, since I've run a Docker Compose up like this. Access is the Interesting. Let's stop the dev server. Presumably something is inhibiting our ability to do what we're trying to do. There we go. Alright, so we're going to pull down Alpine. Node based off of Alpine. Does that assume what's going on there? Fun stuff, right? I think so, you know, depending on how long it actually takes for the build process for Next.js to do its thing. The other thing we need to figure out how to do is, like, I guess, switch Prisma to using Postgres, and how to, I guess, if we can get it running, like we can connect and we can run, you know, here from the command line against the Postgres database running inside of Docker to set it up.
I try to remember.
Yeah.
But when everything is coming back
Yeah.
to me, I feel like
So that might be kind of a next step, since out of the box this is not going to work, since there will be no tables in that database.
I don't know.
I assume, somewhat justifiably, I think. Do I still have? No, I closed it. I had a link. There we go, to the Postgres image. Yeah. How to use this image, right? So you provide a password. You can presumably pass environment variables, user and DB. Yeah, name for the default database, and user and password. And so we're doing all of those things. So that should just work. Oh, that didn't work. Copy from builder standalone to dot. Whoops. Well, npm run build ran really fast, but apparently the builder image did not have a standalone. Is Next.js can be deployed, yada yada yada, build and start. README. There's something different about the setup here. That. I see. So, next config issue again. Is that here? So what are our options here, and how do we want this to work? I don't export or standalone. Okay, I guess that's fine. Let's try that again. Folks, if you're enjoying watching me figure out how even to deploy Next.js in Docker, follow the channel. I do these coding streams every week, the same time on Sundays. Rest of the week is more gameplay stuff. Mostly Minecraft, some X4, other things. But yeah, planning on streaming for about another hour today. And then tomorrow, probably a longer stream, starting earlier than what it says on my schedule, since I have tomorrow off. Thought I was going to say something other than follow. You can't double follow? Right. Yeah, well, that's what I'm, I looked over to my right screen. Ooh, stuff's happening. And I see there's a few more viewers than is typical, so I figured I'd call that out. For those that don't know, I didn't know this, but you got to have a bunch of followers before you can have subscribers and channel points and those sorts of things on Twitch. So that's why we have a goal right now, getting more followers for the channel. All right, so what's going on here? Database was shut down. Wait, database system was shut down. Database system is ready to accept connections. All right. Oh, maybe this is saying when it was shut down before. Oh yeah, it looks like it started up and then shut down. Oh yeah, we created a database. So this is like it's the entry point for that image. It has some stuff that it provisioned for the first run. So that is fine for local dev. It'll be a little different when we're ready to deploy to someone's server. And then this is running as well on localhost 3000. So if we were to go over to here, yay, an error. Query engine library for a current platform could not be found. You built Prisma client on a different platform. That's true. Add the platform Linux, MUSL, OpenSSL 3.0.x to the binary targets. Okay, that's very helpful. I think. We'll see. Oh, look, it even says right here. Okay, so, but the app is served. We shut down the dev server that was running just natively on Windows, and so this is being served out of the container. So now it's time to deal with Prisma stuff. And what's fun here is that maybe I can do something to migrate the data from my SQLite database into Postgres. That might be worthwhile figuring out just for just in general. Okay, but before we do that, let's one thing at a time. Prisma. There's a schema.prisma. And at the very top of this, I think, is where it's telling us we need to change things. Generator client. Provider. Binary targets. Interesting. If I wanted to continue using SQLite for local dev, I wonder how that would work. I would probably have to... I wonder if there's a way to have either override. Ooh, you can use environment variables inside the schema file. Sure. The issue, though, is that because the way things work in Prisma are not specific to, or they are specific to database, they're not, this is not a full abstraction, hiding all the details between different databases, right? So, like, different types in Prisma mean different things in different databases, and some features are not available on certain databases, which is the whole reason, or one reason rather, to like switch to using Postgres is that I wanted to be able to do like full text search on certain fields, and that's not a thing you can do on SQLite. So we're going to change the provider to Postgres, and we are going to here's a question. So do we probably want in our Darker file, we probably want it to run the Prisma generate command before we do like npm run build, because I think, yeah, our current build is just like the Next.js build, so we probably want to also do that. Npm run Prisma generate. Ruin. Yeah, there we go. So there's that. Do I have a PG admin? Probably need to update that. Also, I'll move that off screen until I see what it's going to pull up. Other monitor, there we go. Some EC2 instance. Maybe this was a test database. Cancel. Good. Let us okay. Register. Okay, I can pull this. Perfect. Okay, this should be safe to share. Bam. Okay. No. Add new server. So this is going to be local PG. Connect now. Connection. Localhost. Maintenance database is always going to be Postgres. Username was also Postgres, right? Docker Compose says that. Postgres. DB that we want to connect to is Daily Jewel. Password is also Postgres. Go ahead and save that. Save. Hey, we connected to it. Excellent. And we should see a Daily Jewel database in there. And just a public schema and no tables. So that's what I would expect. That didn't look good. What was that? Maybe when it prompted me for a password for the old DB, that was just the username that it showed, not a password. It looked like an error when I compiled. Not actually. Well, we'll see. I need to restart this. Yeah, because this did error, right? So, because of Prisma. Yeah. I just wanted to look at this DB first. I wonder if there is. It was the white screen thing. Oh, I thought. Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. No. There is. I think PG Admin has a dark mode actually. Yeah, preferences. Display. No. Storage, schema, diff query tool, themes. There we go. Dark. Save. Refresh. Yep. There we go. A little easier on the eyes. All right. So I'm gonna minimize that for now. Yeah. Yeah, PG Admin is there are other tools for like running queries and doing stuff with Postgres, from like command line to there's like dbeaver and other tools out there, but PG Admin is okay in my book. So I'm going to do something. Yeah, every screen have you tried to set dark mode? Yeah, it's especially jarring, right? Especially if you have a lot of stuff that has kind of a dark theme, and you have something that insists on being bright white. It's a bit jarring. So I'm gonna stop the Docker Compose so that we can run up again, and I think this will. Nope. Okay. Help. Is there like a build option? Build. Even old first computer stuff like OG Game Boy was not on a white background. Yeah. Yeah. Green. It's like, yeah. Mm-hmm. I think that was probably like, I want to say that was the first video game of like any significance, like any kind of depth that I beat ever, was Link's Awakening. Wait, no. The Game Boy one. That's Link's Awakening, right? The one on the island with the windfish. Yep. All right. So this did run Prism Generate and build. So if we up arrow one more. Database. Okay, good. So if we go back to here and refresh, if I can find the right, there we go. There's the right tab. Ooh. I was surprised when I could play it on a Game Boy Color and it had some color. Right? It wasn't even a Game Boy Color game. Yeah. Yeah. Good times. Yeah, I think I was especially into that game because I had seen the preceding Zelda game on SNES, but that was not really in the cards, but the Game Boy was. So I really got into that. So we are lacking a table. In fact, we're lacking all the tables. Yeah. Well, Zelda 2 was the one that was like side scroller with like the. So I think it was maybe the one after that. I could be wrong. So what we need to do is we need to run some Prisma commands. Don't remember what came after 2. Yeah, I have played the... I've not played the second one. I played the first one in an emulator. And then... Link to the Past? Yeah, that's it. I don't know if that was like 3 or if there was more in between 2 and A Link to the Past. Right. So we need npm run Prisma something. Pull the schema, push the Prisma schema state to the database. I think we just want db push. But we need the right database URL, which in PowerShell, which is what this is, by the way, needs to be like this. Except this is going to be localhost. Quoting. There we go. Fingers crossed that works. Yeah, I didn't play that one, but played Minish Cap and Age of Seasons. Yeah, I've not played those. Ocarina of Time was the next one that was really big for me. Okay, so data source DB, Postgres database, daily Joule schema public at localhost 5432. Your database is now on sync. So if we go back to pgadmin and hit F5, hey, we have tables. They have no data, but they're there. GBA games, yeah. All right, so if I refresh this, yeah, we don't have a user anymore. There's no data. Honestly, this should not look like a... I guess because we have... I'm not sure why this still treats this as being logged in, honestly. But it's fine for the moment. I wonder if there's a good way to get our data from our SQLite database into Postgres. Prisma migrate data SQLite. Migrate's a bad word for that because Prisma's, is like schema migrations. Also, I said date when I meant data. That might help. Oh, here's an issue. Migrate from SQLite to Postgres. No, I don't think this is going to be relevant. It's not really something that Prisma is set up to do. It's more of a, I'm using Prisma. This is my use case of like, I'm done with using SQLite. I want to move my data and my dev thing to Postgres. I guess probably the intended thing there to do is to use the seed. Am I gonna regret looking at this file? Password X. Nah, it's fine. And this is stuff I've already shown on stream. I guess the thing that's missing here is gonna be the link to Discord for authentication that I have. Have to figure out how to restore that. But can we run our seed thingy? DB help. Is there a subcommand? Yeah, seed. So now there should be some data in PG admin. So if we look at view edit data, all rows, we have some data. All right. So now my user exists. Somewhere I have a tab for Prisma Studio. Let me drag that over out of the way for a minute. Go back to the app. So presumably, yeah, Prisma Studio doesn't have a way to like export the data, unfortunately. Okay, I think I'll deal with fixing my local dev environment outside of the stream, just because I don't want to share a bunch of like how to impersonate me on Discord things on stream. So instead, we'll move right along to something. If nothing else, this is working, right? We have Postgres, we have the web app. It's built. It seems to like building a lot more inside of a Docker container versus on Windows, which is not too surprising. Now that I'm thinking about it. Although I think the story's gotten a lot better over the years than it was at one point when it comes to that. So what's next? Ooh, so bright. All right, let me go back to our outline here. So dealt with that, dealt with Docker Compose. We are using a volume. Now eventually I'll have to make like a Docker Compose file. I'll probably just continue using Docker Compose for the time being once I actually have a hosting set up. There's Kubernetes and Docker Swarm and whatever other things, and this don't need that. That's way overkill. I will, like I put here in my note, I'll probably look at some of that stuff off stream, since that's going to involve like SSH credentials and other things that I might not want to show on the stream. But what we can look at is GitHub Actions, right? So we have the Docker file now. We could probably have a thing that auto builds the Docker image when code is merged to develop. For this app, because it's just me working on it, this is not this is going to eventually be like a quote unquote production thing, right? It's going to be live, but it's low stakes, right? Versus a lot of the things that I work on elsewhere. So I'll probably just have something set up to like auto deploy whatever gets merged to develop, assuming like most of the code checks are before merge, but assuming like the Docker image gets built, I'll probably have something that like picks up image changes and auto deploys it. That part also probably not going to show specifics. I'll have to think about that a little bit more if I can show that, but we can at least build the images and push them to GitHub's container registry, which I have never used. The last time I did this sort of thing, I was either pushing to Docker Hub or to Quay, or I guess I've pushed some images to Amazon's container repo registry. But yeah, anyway, so let's go back to GitHub. Did this? Oh, let's deal with this. Our thing we worked on at the beginning of the stream. Oh, I'm not logged in. All right, let's try that again. Oh, wrong tab. So what's changed? Homepage nav? Yeah. So we added a little toggle here. So that's expected for the theme. And then all the nav items got bumped a little bit. So that all looks good. And we changed the background because we're using the theme coloring for things. So I think that's fine. All right, so that should allow that PR to auto merge. So anyway, actions and container repo, registry rather. How does it work? So we have some actions already. So we have this workflow. Do you want to install the recommended GitHub Actions extension from GitHub? Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Sure. I'm sure it's fine. Great. Okay. And there shouldn't be anything. Yeah, we use secrets to hide tokens, so they're not visible in this file. So this is what happens for when you want to include branch name patterns, or when you want to include both. You're gonna use the branches and branch ignore filters for the same event. So I guess if we push to main, or if we open a pull request against main, I said develop before, but this is just using a single like trunk branch. Again, excuse me, pretty low stakes. You know, in other environments, I might have like a develop in a main branch and use like git flow and have like multiple like test environments and dev environments and those sorts of things. But again, low stakes. Bump my desk. So, yeah, so we run this job on those things. We also are going to want to add a new workflow file, I think, that is triggered for pushes to main. The alternative thing we could do is have something where we use releases. That might be more interesting, right? So GitHub has a feature where you can do a release, right? You can create a release, and we could have a workflow that's triggered by this. So instead of auto deploying or building an image for every time we merge to main, we could explicitly have releases. And there are trade-offs there, right? So like big, you know, in a more serious setting, right? There's trade-offs between if you have the checks in place to ensure that the code that you're merging into your primary branch is good to go. You have like testing automation, those things. It's ideal to like continuously integrate and continuously deploy, because there are some things that you can test for a lot of things, but at some point the rubber has to meet the road. You just have to get the code out. And there are things that will never surface until they're in production anyway. So like shrinking the feedback loop there can be really valuable. On the other hand, for this, it doesn't really matter. But the trade, back to the trade-off. The trade-off though is that if you don't have those things in place, if you're not in a place where you can have, you don't have that test automation, then you probably don't want to just throw things at the wall and see what sticks, right? So what is more interesting to look at? I don't know that I've ever set up a GitHub action based on a release being made. I think that's possible to do though. So let's try that, even if that's not something that I would typically do. I wonder if Copilot can help us here. So set up action workflow to push to build and push Docker image to GitHub packages container registry when a release is created. I threw a pasta at the wall to see if that sticks. It shows if it's al dente or not. That's a fair point. Okay, so Copilot first suggests that we add this comment about publishing Docker images. And then here's another one, workflow syntax for actions. And then another thing, are we going to be in a loop where it's just going to add more and more comments? Oh, no, now we're at the same one. Okay, so that's cool. All right, so what is this supposed to look like? We're going to add a name. Release. Concurrency. Probably want that, and we want that on keyword as well. On release. Types created. Okay. I guess we can also... I don't know that we need workflow dispatch. That could be an option if you want to manually trigger like this workflow without actually creating another release. Workflow dispatch is how you would do that. All right, Copilot, you're thinking? Okay. So this is interesting. So it is thinking that we would do checkout and then use QEMU action. And then Docker build X, log into GitHub container registry, ghcr.io. I don't know if that's the right thing to do. I don't trust Copilot to give me meaningful things for things like that. Let's see if this link actually works. What's fun is that sometimes Copilot will give you links that look like they could actually be for the thing. Like a link to Stack Overflow. And the description, like the little like textual description in the link to Stack Overflow will describe like the problem that you're trying to solve. But it'll actually be linked, the actual link will take you to an actual Stack Overflow page, but it has nothing to do with what that text says. So that's happened to me before. So not that that's surprising given how these kind of language model things work. But anyway, so here's an example. On push to or release branch, env registry, image name. Yeah, so we'll steal some of this stuff. Okay, permissions, contents read, packages write. That makes sense as a thing. This is github.com, right? Okay. Runs on Ubuntu latest. All right, so the job name is build and push release image. That's what we're missing there. Steps. Okay, check out repository, log into container registry. That's interesting that they would use this specific commit. What's up with that? env registry, GitHub actor, GitHub token. Extract metadata for Docker. Build and push Docker image. Context.push through tags labels. Okay, I think like this looks like a workable thing, maybe. It's triggered by a push to the release branch. We're not doing that. We're triggering it based off of it being a release. Runs your workflow when release activity in your repository occurs. The specific type of release activity being it being created, right? And this does push to GitHub container registry. GitHub recommends pending actions to a commit SHA. Okay, that's the first I've heard of that. But that makes sense because otherwise the action could change without warning. So So what have we changed so far? Not a ton of things. We added a couple of files, right? We added a Docker Compose for like local dev. We added a Docker file. It's basically a copy of what Vercel provided for Next.js, just with a Prisma step added, and we are using npm, and we turned off telemetry because I felt like it. Next config, we added output standalone so that we get the standalone folder that has the server.js that is needed for the Docker file. We added some changes to the Prisma schema to make it work and use Postgres. It was already using this database URL environment variable. And then we added this GitHub action workflow for release creation that might actually work. And those are, I think, the main things that I wanted to do for this ticket. In terms of things that I know how to show safely on stream. So I'm going to commit that. And let's see. I think I'll need to just like merge that. And that should, then I'll be able to create release. I guess I could actually, would that work? If I just have this branch and I create a release off that branch, will that trigger the workflow that's on the branch? So we're going to create a tag. We're going to create a v0.1.0. We're going to target whatever that branch. We'll open a PR just to see that. Create that. It's issue 195. So we'll find that branch 195. Test 1 for GHCR action workflow. Right, the whole thing is a workflow, but uses actions. Non-production ready. I wonder if there's a way to look at this flag inside of the action. Like if we look at this release the YAML and we say types created, so pre-released created. Okay. Pre-released, released, edited, deleted. So that's interesting, right? So there's apparently a difference. Oh, right, because you can save a draft. So I'm guessing saving a draft will count as a created action. I could probably, like, we could look up the docs. Workflows. Events. There we go. Release. So activity types: published, unpublished, created, edited, deleted, pre-released, released. Information about each activity type. See webhook events and payloads. Okay. So for right now, we're going to test with the pre-released and released as the types. Probably have to think about that. I might want to have like different workflows or something. Change workflow release types filter. Okay, let's push that up. All right, so we're going to create a pre-release. from our branch. We'll publish it. So it's published pre-release. If we go over to actions, so there's our action triggered. We'll look at it, see what's going on. I've never used this functionality of I guess first of all, I've not seen. I mean, we've run the Docker build locally against like our repo that we've been working out of, but now we are taking a freshly checked out copy of the source and we're running the Docker build on it. So we'll see if that actually works properly. This is another test of that. But what I was going to say is that I've not ever pushed a Docker image to GitHub container registry, either manually or through actions like this. So this is different. This might take slightly. Well, I was going to say this might take slightly longer to do the npm install since it probably doesn't have all the stuff cached, but it seems like it made it through. Oops. So locally, we have a .env file that has a database URL, and oh, I'll need to update that at some point. So next build is complaining that database URL is required. It really shouldn't be required for the build process. So we'll have to fix that. So that is something that we're doing in env.js, I think. Right. So in nextconfig.js, we are dynamic configuration of browsers. Okay. Git config. So we are pulling in this env from server env, and that's where we're getting like nodeenv and CI. And this I think is used other places as well. Why is this a JavaScript? Oh, right, because nextconfig is a JavaScript file. Okay. And so we're leveraging Zod here to validate our environment variables are correct. So if it's undefined and it's not CI, right, then it's required. Is there an environment variable that is set by the Next.js build process so that we can detect that we're in the build process and that we shouldn't throw this error or add this issue to the validation? Next.js build environment variables. The other thing we could look at are environment variables provided by like our action. Next.js environment. Maybe we'll start here. Default environment variables. Okay, no. It's not what I'm looking for. Test, environment variable, load order. So what I'm looking for is something that would tell us that we are in the build process. Okay, Next.js build environment variables. Maybe this is what I just Googled for like 30 seconds ago. Build time versus runtime environment variables. The other thing we could do is inside of the Docker file, inside of the builder, we could do this. Maybe that. However we check. Oh, it's true. Okay. Is this a good idea? I'm not convinced. Let's try it though. Add CI and var to Docker file. Okay, so then I don't think we can rerun the job because this is probably going to still target that commit. Maybe? Right, because like if we look at, yeah, it's targeting this specific commit. So let's make another pre-release. Test 2, and we'll call this v0.1.1. Okay, then we'll go back to our workflow. All right, is it going to work this time? Should find out here pretty soon. So we have about 25 minutes left in this stream. Something I want to try to do today, we should find someone to raid before the stream is over, or when the stream is over. Because I've never done that before, and I should start doing that. So if folks know someone that is streaming now, you can maybe whisper me in a few minutes, and we can do a little raid. Yeah, it's good for networking. Yes, indeed. All right, so okay, so we're running build now. This is where it failed last time. So let's see if it's successful. Checking validity of types. Versions of Prism and Prism Client don't match. I should probably look at that at some point. Probably do another pass of like dependency updates. If we get this working and pushing images, maybe that would be a thing to do to wrap up the stream. Unless I can think of something else more interesting. Come on now. How long does it take to check the validity of types? Oh. I guess it was it had completed. Okay, post build and push Docker. Okay. Uh, okay. Did we? So, if we go over to packages, it's promising. All right. Latest v0.1.1 published 1 minute ago. And it's just the README from Next.js that was from the repo. So there we go. We got our private daily Joule Docker image. So nice. So how this is going to get deployed is I'm probably going to make something that looks pretty similar to the Docker Compose we have right now. When I say Docker Compose, I mean the YAML file here, except not like this, similar to this, with good passwords and volumes that are linked to actual, like a hard drive and a fixed location for persistence, and then it'll have an image that will point to this GitHub GHCR location. I probably will. I will probably extend the workflow to do something to tell the server to pull the image to like update, just to like auto deploy, because why would you want multiple steps for your deploy process? You know, just one button click, do all the things. Probably some steps there will include like running Prisma to apply any database migrations. Yeah, so that will be, I don't know, I have to think a little bit more about how that's going to work. I'll see if I can get some kind of hosting solution set up before next week, so maybe we can see some of that happening. But yeah, so I'm pretty happy with how this is working. Let's update the branch. Oh, I should use, well, should have done a rebase there. Oh well. All right, so yeah, here's what's changed, which we kind of already looked at a little bit. So it's that release workflow. Let's remove the pre-released one. Do I or don't I? I think I'll leave it. What I may do is like I said, I'm gonna have some things that are going to automatically like tell the actual production environment to pull the image. So maybe I'll have that set up so that only happens for when the type of release is actual full release. Maybe go that way. I think that makes sense. Okay, so I think this is good then. And kind of a next thing to do. Let me close some of these tabs. I always like to accumulate tabs. And one of the great things about one of the things I typically do at the end of the stream is I basically close out pretty much all the tabs, except for, you know, just the backlog and stuff. Oh, this was also active. And there it goes. Yeah, so anyway, so let's. I think there are some dependable pull requests here. Oh, hey, look. Mock service worker TRPC updated. Context should be typed. Handle transformers. I wonder if one of these updates fixed our issue. I don't know. Who could say? I mean, we could if we just like checked it out and whatnot. I think what I want to do right now though is I want to switch back to main and let's look at that complaint it was having about the Prisma and Prisma client versions being not the same. All right, so somewhere Prisma. Okay, so we have Prisma client 4.11.0. Okay, so I'm gonna guess that nothing has significantly changed. It's gonna break anything that we're doing. Release notes, but let's just double check. So we are on Prisma 4.14.1. Which is right here. And looks like the next version was 4.15. Fixing bugs, making smaller quality of life improvements. Custom arguments for DB seed. That could be good. Options, parse args. Okay, so something that we could kind of opt into. Improved error messages. Okay. Prisma VS Code extension improvements. Okay. Quick fixes action for unique identifiers. Okay. Renaming symbols. Fixes and improvements. Prisma client. Prisma generate. Write epipe on WSL Windows. So just a lot of bug fixes. I suspect that none of this is going to cause problems for us. Huh. Prisma migrate. Yep. Language tools. Okay, cool. So, and then Prisma client. 4.11. Okay, so 4.12 is the next version. Bug fixes. Okay. Nothing else I like seeing, looking through this, just in case there's something that I had run into before. Maybe like as a one-off thing, and oh yeah, and that's fixed, that sort of thing. I don't think there's anything like that for us right now, but yeah, so let's also, is there... Let's just bump all these things. 15.0, yeah. Two weeks ago. Okay, let's bring down our services. install. I think while I'm thinking about it, another thing I can do. Right now I have a thing that auto runs the dev environment. I don't know why I do air quotes. You can't see me do air quotes. Maybe I'll do a webcam at some point. But yeah, anyway. Dev server, right? Auto runs. And browser sync, apparently. I'm going to remove both of those for now. So this is the task.json for VS Code. So you can basically set up different tasks. And you can have things auto run. So I have like a startup thing that does an npm install and runs this other dev environment task, which then starts Prisma Studio and it starts Storybook and it runs TypeScript kind of in a watch mode. But now that we have a thing set up where we're running locally in using Docker Compose, so that we're also have Postgres running locally, then the existing thing's not going to work, right? If it tried to just like run npm start, Docker's not run, Postgres isn't running, So eventually I'll probably add a task here to like run Docker Compose, but for now let's just not have broken things. Okay, so log file got updated. So a thing that actually doing something very similar to this the other day, looking at a lock file, was like frustrated because I was trying to find exactly where in the file the change was from looking at like the diff there. But what you can do, there are these little arrows. Next change, Alt F5. Let's hide the sidebar and the terminal. There we go. So you can do Alt F5, and then the up arrow is not Alt F4. It is Shift Alt F5. So you can see kind of what's changed here in terms of have any of our dependencies added dependencies or changed them. Looks like no, which is not too surprising. Prisma engine's updated, so I'll go along with it. And then it loops around to the top. Okay, so that looks fine. All right, and our DevOps item auto merge 2 and progress 0. Let's open a new update deps update Prisma 2023 06. What day is it? 18. Prisma and remove old tasks. I guess if I'm gonna npm dev, if I'm gonna remove the depends on, I might as well just remove the tasks altogether. We didn't use them anyway. Cannot edit. There we go. Okay, looks good. Ship it. All right. Well, I want to thank everyone for hanging out and watching, listening for today's stream. Let me open this PR really quick. But this is going to be it for today, I think. I mean, there's other things to do, but not enough time to really dig into anything. What I would like to do, if let me see who else is streaming kind of web dev stuff. Might be see if we can go raid someone. But yeah, I want to thank everyone again, really, for listening, watching, Azuri for chatting. Make sure I'm not. Yeah, and Let's see. Ooh, lots of interesting things. Let me sort. Let's find kind of a smaller streamer doing. Interesting. Interesting. Looking for web dev. I guess I could use tags, but that would involve me typing things. Alright. Oh, I should, well, we'll switch over to this scene now. If you have enjoyed the stream and you're not already following, hit that follow button. It's such a cliche at this point, but it really helps out as I try to grow this channel. Helps other people take notice and gets us towards being an affiliate and having all those fun options like subs and channel points and those things. Still looking. Lots of people doing game dev, which makes sense. Hello there, I'm studying programming a game. JavaScript testing. What's this? Oh, I need a refresh. That's what I need to do. If anyone knows already, someone we should, if someone has someone in mind that we could raid, let me know, and we'll do that. Otherwise, I'll look for just a couple more minutes before I just kind of pick blindly. Ooh, advent of code? What's going on over here? They've been streaming for about an hour and a half. Okay. All right, I'm not gonna spend any more time on this than I already have. We're gonna do it. How do I? All right, I made a raid. Thanks everyone again. Hope you have a good day.